Summary of Persuasion by Jane Austen. At the beginning of the book, Sir Walter, Baronet of Kellynch Hall, is full of himself as he reads through the Elliot family history. He lost his wife 14 years ago, and she left him 3 girls. The youngest, Mary, is married to the rich Charles Musgrove. Elizabeth, the oldest, is proud and beautiful, and her father loves her. And, on the other hand, is kind and gentle, but her father and sister often forget about her. Lady Russell, their mom's best friend, helped Sir Walter raise his kids. She is still Anne's close family friend and a person she looks up to as a mother. The Elliots are a wealthy family who owns land. They are in debt because Sir Walter spent too much, so with the help of Lady Russell and the family lawyer, Mr. Shepherd, they decide to rent out their land to Admiral and Mrs. Croft and move to Bath. Admiral and Mrs. Croft are a respectable British Navy pair who are well off and polite. Even though Sir Walter wasn't sure at first if the Navy was a good way for low-born men to move up in society, he is glad to have renters with good social standing. And has strong feelings when Mrs. Croft shows up because she is the sister of Captain Wentworth. 8 years ago, and Captain Wentworth fell in love and were planning to get married. But Lady Russell thought the match was stupid and inappropriate because Captain Wentworth didn't have any money or status, so she convinced Anne to back out of the deal. And can't wait to see him again in the country. Mrs. Clay, Elizabeth's close friend and a lower-ranking widow, and Sir Walter are going to Bath. And is going to see her sister Mary at Uppercross to help her out and keep her company. Charles, Mary's husband, is kind and patient, but Mary is self-centered and moans a lot. The rest of the Musgrove family lives nearby at the great house. And likes how casual, happy, and welcoming they are. His and her wife's 2 grown girls are named Henrietta and Louisa. Captain Wentworth comes to see his sister Mrs. Croft and quickly becomes a favorite of the Musgrove family. Because he doesn't care about Anne, she comes to the sad conclusion that he no longer loves her. Instead, he flirts with Louisa and Henrietta, who are deeply in love with him. The group meets Captain Benwick, Captain Harville, and his wife, Mrs. Harville. Captain Wentworth knows them through friends. During one of their walks, they meet a gentleman who freely likes Anne. It turns out that he is Mr. Elliot, Sir Walter's estranged son. Louisa hurts herself when she acts without thinking and falls. And tells the others to take care of her. Over the next few months, the Harvilles are kind enough to take care of Louisa. Captain Wentworth stays in Lyme for a while because he feels responsible for the accident. When Anne and Lady Russell get to Bath, they meet Sir Walter and Elizabeth. They find out that Mr. Elliot is in Bath and has been trying hard to make peace with his family. Everyone finds him charming, and he keeps telling Anne how much he admires her. And thinks he is smart and polite, but not open or friendly. Admiral and Mrs. Croft surprise everyone in Bath by telling them that Louisa is going to marry Captain Benwick and Henrietta is going to marry her cousin Charles Hayter. Captain Wentworth is not involved with anyone. He quickly gets to Bath, and it's clear that he is envious of Mr. Elliot's attention on Anne. Lady Russell thinks that Mr. Elliot is the right match for her beloved Anne, but Anne is still not sure about Mr. Elliot's past. Although things have changed, her love for Captain Wentworth has not. While Anne is at Bath, she meets up with Mrs. Smith, an old school friend who has been having a hard time. Mrs. Smith, who is disabled, poor, and widowed, tells her about Mr. Elliot's bad past. He betrayed Mrs. Smith's husband and cheated Mrs. Smith out of money. He now wants to marry Anne because he is afraid he will lose the baronetcy if Mrs. Clay marries Sir Walter. Her marriage would protect his inheritance. Lady Russell almost got Anne to agree to marry Mr. Elliot, which makes Anne very angry. Captain Wentworth writes a letter to Anne in which he says he loves her still. And is shocked and thrilled, and they say their vows and promise to marry each other again. Captain Wentworth's wealth and social standing have grown after 8 years in the Navy. He is now a good match for the daughter of a stupid and wasteful baronet. Sir Walter doesn't mind if they get married, and Lady Russell also comes to like and accept Captain Wentworth. Mr. Elliot is shocked and let down, so he leaves Bath with Mrs. Clay, even though he has turned Sir Walter down for her love. Anne and Captain Wentworth are finally married, and their years apart have made their love and respect for each other stronger.
About the author. Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775, in Steventon, Hampshire. Even though her parents were English gentry, they were still not very wealthy. Jane Austen was too humble to believe how great her writing was, but she did write some of the most famous books in English history, such as Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Emma, and Persuasion. Her books were released without her name on them until after she died, when it was revealed that she was the author. In Austen's time, it wasn't unheard of for women to write under their own names, but it wasn't common either. Although her books are about the complicated routines of courtship and marriage in the British middle class, Austen never got married.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.